Yo, what in the entire world is going on in hip-hop right now? This ain't just rap beef. This ain't just courtroom dramana. This is next-level insanity. Oh, word just broke. And trust me, you ain't ready for this one. According to Explosive. New leaks. The FBI done caught Lil Durk on a wiretap, and it's shaking the entire foundation of the King Von murder case. This right here might be the biggest twist in hip-hop legal history since Oga Night and That White Bronco. Now get this. Confidential audio, allegedly recorded months ago, was played in open court. And y'all, the gasps in that courtroom. Deafening. Sources inside say the judge had to literally pause proceedings cause the room went into a frenzy. People crying, folks whispering, Durk's legal team looking like they seen a ghost. And here's the real kicker. What Durk said on that wire, it wasn't just about Von. It may have implicated someone fans never expected. A name was dropped that's got the streets token and the blogs on fire. We token betrayal, buried secrets, and a possible cover-up that could tear apart everything OTF built. Stick around. This story gets wild. It all started like a regular Tuesday morning in Chicago. Sun peeking through the blinds, traffic humming, and the internet scrolling, as usual. But then, around 9:37 a.m., phones started blowing up with a single line that had the streets frozen. Lil Durk wiretap audio just got played in court. At first, folks ain't believe it. They thought it was just clickbait. But then, boom, reputable. Outlets started reporting it. Court insiders confirmed it. Not only was Lil Durk being recorded by federal surveillance, but what he allegedly said on that tape sent chills down the backs of even his closest supporters. This was all tied to the ongoing reinvestigation into King Von's alleged connection to the 2020 murder of FBG Duck. The feds had reopened the case with new witnesses, new evidence, and apparently secret audio that nobody saw coming. And when Durk walked into that courtroom in a gray tailored suit, calm and collected, he had no idea what was about to hit him. They say the moment the prosecution said, "Your Honor, we have recently obtained audio material that is crucial to this case," Durk's entire demeanor shifted. He leaned forward, eyes narrow. His lawyer whispered something in his ear, and you could see the tension building. The judge allowed the audio to be played, and that's when the bomb dropped. The voice on the tape was clear to clear. Voice, calm, deliberate, but saying something that made the whole courtroom gasp. According to sources who were present, the voice said, "I told Von to chill, but he wasn't trying to hear it." That situation with Duck, it was already in motion before I even touched down. I tried to slow it down, but he was on demon time. It was like a ghost had walked into the room. Folks in the gallery covered their mouths. Von's mom, who was seated in the second row, started crying. She wasn't alone. Multiple people close to both Von and Durk were visibly shaken. And the wildest part, Durk never denied it was him on the tape. The judge immediately called for a recess. Durk's lawyers asked for time to authenticate the audio, but prosecution already had the metadata, timestamps, location pings, all of it matched up. Outside the courtroom, chaos erupted. Fans gathered. Reporters scrambled. Social media exploded. Hashtag #DurkWiretap and hashtag #FreeVon trended within the hour. People were asking, what did Durk mean by already in motion? Was he saying Von acted alone? Was he trying to distance himself? Or was he confessing that he knew the move was about to happen? Inside the court building, the tension was unbearable. Durk sat with his legal team, stone-faced, but his fingers were twitching. His cousin, Lil Mister, who showed up late too. Court whispered to a nearby source, "This ain't looking good." Not at all. But that wasn't even the most shocking part. After the recess, the prosecution pulled another rabbit out the hat. They revealed that Durk had been under surveillance for over 9 months secretly. And during that time, the FBI had allegedly recorded multiple conversations where Durk discussed cleaning up loose ends and protecting the circle. The court transcripts weren't made public, but one line leaked within minutes. If he fold, we all go down. You know what that means? Fans immediately started speculating. Who was he? Was Durk talking about one of the co-defendants? Or maybe someone from the inner circle who was getting shaky? Social media turned into an investigation unit. Fans pulled up old IG Lives, YouTube clips, even interviews trying to match Durk's words with past events. People started piecing things together. Maybe this wiretap wasn't just about Von or Duck. Maybe this was bigger. Maybe the feds had been waiting to tie Durk to a whole network. Meanwhile, back in the courtroom, Durk's team went into full damage control. His lawyer argued that the audio was taken out of context, claiming Durk was speaking hypothetically, not confessing. They filed a motion to suppress the evidence, saying the wiretap was illegal. But the judge wasn't having it. He ruled the audio admissible and set a date for the jury to hear the full tape. That's when things really started spiraling. King Von's sister, Kayla B., took to Twitter right after the hearing and dropped a bomb of her own. She tweeted, "Nah, so you knew all along and let him crash out. Say less." That tweet alone sparked a full-on internet war between OTF fans and Von loyalists. Kayla later deleted the tweet, but not before it was screenshot and shared everywhere. The family was left divided. Von's uncle spoke out on a local podcast, saying, "We always had love for Durk, always. But if what we heard today is real, then he gotta answer for that. You don't sit on knowledge like that and say nothing." Back in Chicago, tensions started rising again. Folks who used to ride for OTF started posting cryptic messages. Insiders say that the energy inside the OTF camp was different, like folks didn't know who to trust. One source said you could feel it in the air. Everybody moving cautious. But here's where the twist got even messier. A new witness came forward. Someone nobody expected. Reportedly a former affiliate of OTF. Someone who hadn't been seen in years. His name hasn't been released yet, but court insiders called him the Ghost. And when the feds brought him into the courtroom, people literally stood up in shock. This ghost figure was expected to testify that not only was Durk aware of the hit on Duck, but he allegedly tried to clean up the aftermath by pressuring people to stay silent. And guess what? The Ghost claimed he had recordings too, so now, not only is Durk being hit with the first wiretap, but a second wave of potential audio is about to surface, and this time, it ain't just Durk's voice. Names are about to be dropped. Names fans never expected. And right before court ended for the day, Durk looked directly at the prosecution table, then at the judge, and then back at the audience. And in a voice barely above a whisper, he said, "I tried to protect everybody, but y'all don't see the whole picture." His lawyer pulled him back and told him to stay quiet, but the damage was done. That one sentence had people outside, speculating like crazy. Did Durk take the fall for Von? Did he know about the hit and try to stop it? Or is this all part of a bigger setup, someone trying to bring him down from the inside? Whatever it is, this was just day one of the wiretap fallout. And with more audio, more witnesses, and a possible betrayal from within the OTF camp, things were about to spiral way out of control. As court adjourned that day, the buzz didn't stop at the courthouse steps. Blogs went into overdrive. YouTubers fired up their cameras, and Chicago streets were flooded with theories. Some were saying Durk was the real victim. Others thought he just pulled the biggest betrayal hip-hop had seen since the East Coast-West Coast era. But the biggest question wasn't even about Durk. It was about the Ghost. Who was he? Who was he? How long had he been watching from the shadows? And more importantly, why now? The next morning, court was packed wall to wall. People lined up outside since 5 a.m. They wanted to see this ghost in the flesh, but when he walked in, escorted by U.S. Marshals and wearing a black hoodie low over his face, jaws dropped. Some people recognized him instantly. The ghost was none other than Reese Montana, a former OTF affiliate who had vanished in 2021 after rumors of snitching started floating around. Folks thought he fled to Atlanta. Others said he moved to Vegas. But turns out he had flipped. And not just flipped, he had been working with the feds the whole time. When Reese took the stand, the room went dead silent. Even Durk didn't blink. Reese's voice was calm, but cut through like a razor. "I wasn't gonna say nothing," he began. "But when they said Vaughn was acting alone, nah, I couldn't let that ride. Not when I know the truth." He told the courtroom that in late 2019, long before Duck's murder, there was already tension meetings being held. He claimed Durk, Vaughn, and several other unnamed odd members were talking strategy about rival ops, particularly around 63rd. They had maps, screenshots, social media data like it was a war table, Reese claimed. And I was in the room. According to Reese, Vaughn didn't move without approval. He was wild, yeah, but he respected Durk. If Durk said chill, Vaughn would chill. Unless he was told different behind closed doors. That statement hit the courtroom like a grenade. Vaughn's family sat still, holding back tears. Durk's lawyer objected, calling the testimony hearsay. But the judge allowed Reese to continue under Special Witness Protection Clause. Reese dropped even more details. He said the day after Duck was murdered, Durk allegedly made a call to one of his security heads saying, "We clean or we got leaks." And when he was told, "One dude shaky," Durk's response was, "Handle it quiet." When asked if he had recordings of that conversation, Reese simply said, "Yes." The courtroom erupted again. Gasps, whispers. Even a couple folks in the back got escorted out for shouting. Durk sat there, not making eye contact with anybody. His face was blank, but you could see the twitch in his jaw. Kayla B. left the courtroom early. Visibly shaken, she refused to answer questions from the media. Later that evening, she posted a now-deleted story on Instagram that said, "Everybody got a role to play? Some play dirty." The internet took that and ran with it. But this next twist, nobody saw coming. That same night, a mystery DM was leaked to a major Chicago blog. It was allegedly between Durk and Vaughn months before Duck's death. In it, Vaughn warns Durk, "This gon' fall on you if I get locked. They gon' think you pulled the strings." And Durk responds, "Just make sure you move smart. I'll handle the rest." Fans were torn. Some said it was fake. Others pointed out how the lingo and tone exactly matched their known text style. And suddenly, a whole new theory emerged. What if Durk was actually trying to shield Vaughn, but ended up talking on more blame than he deserved? But not everyone believed that. On day 3 of court, the prosecution introduced a surprise motion. They had obtained access to Durk's encrypted group chat from 2020 where multiple messages showed discussions about timelines, routes, and confirmations. One message, allegedly from Durk, read, "We ain't pulling triggers, we just pulling chess moves. Let the pawns play." That message alone sent fans into chaos. Blogs went crazy trying to decipher what chess moves really meant. Durk's lawyer claimed it was lyrics. "He's a rapper," he said. "You can't criminalize metaphor." But the prosecution argued that Durk used music to disguise real-world planning. And that ain't even the wildest part. Midway through the hearing, a member of Vaughn's inner circles, someone folks hadn't heard from since Vaughn Pass stepped into the courtroom. It was Asian Doll. People went numb. She wasn't listed on the witness sheet, but her appearance alone caused a ripple through the trial. Durk looked up when she walked in. and for the first time, he looked nervous. Asian sat behind Von's family, arms folded, eyes fixed on Durk. Later that day, she posted just one tweet. "I told y'all, this ain't what it looked like." The fans went into overdrive. Some were saying Asian had secret info. Others thought she was just there for support. But behind the scenes, court insiders revealed she was scheduled to speak off-record to the prosecution. And then, another bomb. Reese, still on the stand, said there was one more tape. But it wasn't from him. He said, "The tape that matters the most. It ain't mine, it's hers." And he pointed toward Asian Doll. Court ended right after that. But word spread fast. Did Asian Doll have a recording that could prove Durk gave the order? Or was she sitting on something to clear his name? Either way, she was the new center of attention. Von's cousin Track gave a statement outside the courthouse. "Look, we all want justice. But if people start flipping the script now, after years of silence, then whose side were they ever really on?" Back at the hotel, Durk's team scrambled. Insiders say a closed-door meeting was held that night with Durk, his lawyer, and two unnamed industry execs. The question was, should Durk take a deal? If so, how much would he have to give up? But Durk wasn't folding. Yet, his last words before the meeting ended were reportedly, "I'm not going down for this. I didn't sign up to be the scapegoat." The next morning, Chicago felt different. It's cloudy, tense, like the city itself knew something heavy was about to happen. And inside that federal courtroom was like walking into a battlefield. Media, bloggers, fans, and even local artists packed the benches, all eyes locked on one person, Asian Doll. She walked in wearing all black, glasses on, but you could feel the weight of her presence. Durk didn't look her way. His team was whispering, flipping through folders. But he sat stone still. Court resumed, and the judge addressed the elephant in the room. He confirmed that Asian Doll had submitted private communication records, including one audio file, and a series of messages allegedly sent between her and King Von, plus a voice note from a third party. Someone unnamed, but closely tied to the Ott's inner circle. When asked why she withheld the info all these years, Asian simply said, "I was scared, and I was loyal." But now, she claimed, too many lies been told. The courtroom leaned in as the prosecution played a short clip. It was a voice note, male voice, quiet but clear. Durk said, "Keep it off socials. He know it look bad if it come back on him. Told Von, don't tag me, don't mention me. Handle it silent." The voice wasn't Von. It wasn't Durk. It was BOOKA 600. You could have heard a pin drop. Buka had been riding for Durk for years. Never left his side. But now, his voice was being played in court. Linking Durk directly to orders given to Von before the duck situation even popped off. Durk's eyes closed for a second. Just a flicker, but it was the first emotion he'd shown since Reese took the stand. Buka's team released a statement within the hour, denying the authenticity of the tape, saying it was spliced, edited, and taken out of context. They claimed Buka was talking about music promo, not street business. But the prosecution wasn't buying it. They said they had timestamps and metadata matching the message to a known meet between Von, Durk, and two other OTF affiliates, just 2 days before Duck was shot. Outside court, the blogs went crazy. Hashbook, @ape, and hashtag #DURKExposed started trending. Fans argued all day long. Some said Buka was setting Durk up. Others believed he didn't even know he was being recorded. A few even claimed Asian had been sitting on this clip like a trump card, waiting for the right moment to play it. And that's when another twist hit. Asian Doll never said it out loud. But court documents leaked that same day revealed something huge. She had turned over her entire cloud archive to the feds' voice notes, text threads, old Snap messages. Even private recordings of convos she had with Vaughn during their most turbulent months, and one convo stood out on it. Vaughn allegedly told Asian, "I ain't gon' lie. Durk told me fall back, but he knew what time it was. He knew how this go. If I don't move, they gon' move on me first. I'm just beating them to it." That quote alone had people spinning. Was Durk trying to de-escalate? Or was he giving Vaughn space to do what needed to be done? Meanwhile, Durk's team was scrambling behind the scenes. Court insiders said a deal was being quietly discussed. Not a plea yet, but a potential cooperation agreement that could reduce sentencing if Durk gave up info on higher-level operations. But Durk wasn't taking that route. At least, not yet. In fact, that same night, Durk broke his silence. On his private close friends story, Durk posted a short clip black screen with just a voice. Fans understood its meaning. He was discussing more than just the case. He was discussing Buka, regarding Reese, perhaps even toward Asians. However, while everyone was concentrating on Durk, there was another ploy by the feds. They unexpectedly dropped a subpoena. The stand was called for Memo 600.4 some time. The memo had been slipping away from OTFF. His conflict with Durk had already been well publicized months prior, with subliminals sent on Twitter, dubious live comments, and a full-fledged diss track that was never released. People therefore believed he was going to destroy everything when he appeared in court. But everyone was stunned by the memo. "I'm not here to snitch," he declared. "I'm here to get my name cleared." According to the memo, Durk was a puppet master who never pulled triggers or spoke bluntly, instead ensuring that others handled the grunt labor. Rappers, shooters, cleanup crews, and fall crews were among the layers, he claimed. Was a component of a system that provided Durk with insulation. Then he said the day's most startling statement: "Another tape exists. Not by me. Not from Reese. It comes from a girl Durk used to tease. And it demonstrates that he was aware of Duck before it occurred." It was not denied by the prosecution. They verified that Durk and a female associate had a private conversation on a burner phone in which he allegedly stated, "It's already in motion. If it occurs, it does. We will continue to ride it out as usual." Fans began speculating right away. Who was the girl? India, according to some. Some speculated that it was a lesser-known ex who hadn't spoken since 2021. In any case, the existence of this call and the fact that it was now being verified meant that things were rapidly getting out of control. Vaughn's mother spoke up on Facebook. "Live that evening. All I ever wanted was the truth," she added, sobbing. "They said it was street crap when I witnessed my baby's death. I had no idea all of this was going on. Why didn't you stop it if you knew what was coming? How come you didn't warn him?" Her live stream became viral, and for the first time, fans were just upset and weren't choosing sides based on music or loyalty. Rap was no longer the exclusive topic of discussion. This dealt with actual lives, actual losses, and actual repercussions. And when it seemed like things couldn't get much worse, another name was released in court filings. A list Atlanta producer, who has not yet been identified, was also on the Fed's watch list for allegedly engaging in money laundering related to OTF operations. Vaughn and Duck were no longer the only topics of discussion. This was becoming a full-fledged RICO. And Durk. The storm was centered on him. Rumors that someone from inside OTF had flipped overnight were already circulating as the sun rose over downtown Chicago. Insiders in the court were buzzing. According to reports, a person who had known Durk since the early days of Mixtape and was part of his intimate circle had consented to testify. The gallery was more crowded than ever when court opened. Security was doubled. All phones were seized. Press is not permitted. Then the name THF Zoo was revealed. People were incredulous. Oh. The zoo had served beside Durk in the trenches, always in the background of people's lives and in the front row at performances. We believed that this was blood, not simply an associate. Durk finally responded as he entered with his head down and his chains off. His expression fell. He slowly shook his head as he turned to face his attorney. He appeared to be in pain. You could sense it in the enemies aren't the only ones who betray. It can occasionally come from the people you shared bread with. Sue sat on the stand, his voice quiet, his eyes forward. He never once glanced at Durk. He began, "I'm not here to lie. I'm not here to be mean to anyone. However, I will not accept responsibility for things that I did not touch." Then he said, "We all knew what was coming," which left everyone speechless. Everyone in OTF. It has been hot on the streets. Yes, Vaughn made his decisions. However, the energy, the green light, came from above. And everyone was aware of that person. There was a startled quiet in the courtroom. The prosecution leaned closer. "When you mention the top, who specifically are you referring to?" The attorney inquired. Sue didn't think twice. "Durk!" exclaims. Audible ones. Some even yelled, "No!" from the rear to restore order. The judge had to repeatedly strike the gavel, but the zoo wasn't finished. He asserted that he attended at least 3 meetings when the topic of retribution tactics was covered. He claimed that although Durk always employed coded language and kept his hands clean, the message was clear. "Ain't nobody safe who try to play boss from the other side," was one comment that caught my attention. "We demonstrate to them how actual bosses behave." Days before Duck was slain, the zoo said that was Durk. However, the zoo then dropped the most shocking revelation. Durk didn't just know. He said he gave his approval. And after it was brought down, he forced us to change. Phones turn out the lights and vanish for a moment. Durk's attorney protested right away, claiming it was all revenge and hearsay. However, the harm had already been done. There were tears in that courtroom. According to reports, Vaughn's sister left. It was necessary to restrain Durk's cousin from yelling at the zoo, and fans were going crazy outside. Online comments were rife with heartache, rage, and misunderstanding. Some people continued to believe that Durk was being set up. Others at last came to terms with what they had been afraid for years. That the happy rapper with the #1 songs had a much darker past than he ever revealed. But despite everything, Durk had remained silent. Not once up to now. Durk's legal team asked for a special motion, which would allow their client to speak directly to the court. After the judge adjourned the session, although unusual, it was given. Suddenly, it seemed as though everything stopped. When Durk got up, moved to the center, and faced the courtroom, he glanced around, initially at Vaughn's mother, then at the zoo, at the judge after that, and then he said something. "I lost my brother," he said. To me, King Von was more than just a rapper. He was a member of my family. Both of us started from nothing. We weren't raised with direction. We were raised on retaliation. He hesitated. I told him to calm down. Dazed. Him to reduce his speed. However, when did the streets become involved? It was too late. I haven't pulled the trigger yet. However, I'm not stopping anything either. I'll carry it for that. People were in disbelief. He was not making a confession. However, he was also acknowledging his role in the culture that gave rise to all of this. Durk went on. I tried to change the cycle, created companies and jobs, pulled people from the neighborhood. However, the truth is that I waited too long. He concluded by saying, if I go down, ... I just pray it ain't. For nothing, which rocked the gathering. He went back to his chair. Vaughn's mother was observed sobbing. Zoo's eyes were fixed on the ground. Even the prosecution seems taken aback. The judge stated a decision will be made within a week. But she deferred the case for the day. And that night, just when it appeared that this was the last twist, another leak appeared on the blog's dot, a scanned document or an email. A federal indictment sealed not only for Durk, but for 6 other names in the industry, including one unexpected person from Atlanta, 2 producers, and a business manager. Fans began making connections despite the identities being removed for the time being. Von and Lil Durk were no longer the only topics of conversation. This was a long-running RICO case that was only now starting to come together. And Durk. Perhaps he was simply the first domino in Chicago. There was silence, no statements, no posts. The ODF Instagram only shared one story, a screen that is black. 3 words, don't trust anyone, so everyone. Here we are. The King Von case has officially taken a turn no one anticipated following days of trial pandemonium. Leaked wiretaps, unexpected witnesses, and heartbreaking revelations. Once regarded as the voice of the streets, Lil Durk is currently embroiled in a court battle that has the potential to upend the entire modern rap landscape. This isn't just a case anymore. From Reese Montana flipping to Asian dolls exposing concealed receipts to the zoo, abandoning a sibling he once considered family. Legacy is at stake here. Freedom, reputations, and careers are all on the line. The worst aspect is that we have no idea how it will finish. Will Durk accept a request? Will other names be revealed? Will this be the start of a much larger takedown? Or is there something coming up that might cause the story to change again? There is no doubt that the federal government is listening. The streets are keeping an eye on things, and the internet is looking up any hint they can dot, however. We would like to hear from you today. Do you believe Durk was pulling strings from the shadows, or was he attempting to protect Von? Did Zoo change his mind to protect himself, or was he just lying? And who will be the next to fall if Durk does?